nerds, pretty 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 nerds.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Pretty Nerds podcast. This is your girl Falan DeAnn.
And this is your girl Nay.
And how's everything been going?
Pretty good, aside from this rain. Ugh. And it's only been raining for like 2 days, and I'm already over it. Like, don't nobody want to deal with this damn rain.
I hate rain.
Basically,
Especially
and it's unseasonal at that, because like it's hot as fuck outside, but yet it's raining, but yet it's supposed to be like fall, winter. Like, shit's weird. What about yourself?
Yeah, everything is just slow motion.
Oh man, okay. So everything's going pretty good?
Oh yeah, everything is good on my end. Just in the house, bored in the house. That's it.
Well, new mommydom, you know.
Yeah.
Got to get used to it.
I'm ready for him to be like 4 months. Like in it, because it's like, okay, you start to being able to play and all it. Like he don't play with no toys. He don't like none of the rocks.
So he basically just look at your ass all day.
Yeah. You're like, I want you to play with your toys. You have all these like mats and all this stuff that lights up and moves, and he just like, this ain't it, Chief. Give me up now.
Oh, well, that's cute. You and babies. Love it. All right, so let's go ahead. We got quite a few things to get to today. So let's go ahead and jump into this week's hot topics. We don't really have any like quick hitters. So I guess we can just start. Let's start with, I don't even think there's any happy news, let's be honest. Trying to look and see from the hot topics we wrote. I don't see any happy news. The only thing that is remotely happy, shit, it made me laugh. It was funny. John Wall, he was doing an interview on television for a sports show, and at the same time he was multitasking and playing a good hand of spades, apparently.
And it was so funny because you can see him do his bid and everything. I'm like, that's what's up.
But my favorite part of the whole thing was like he wasn't fucking playing about his spades game, no, for real, because you could tell like the dude asked him a whole question, he over there, give me four, give me four, and then he was like, oh, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Can you repeat that? I was like, he's not gonna play with you.
But yo, he looked like the scorekeeper too, though. That was the weird thing. I'm like, so you doing the interview, playing spades, and you gonna be the scorekeeper?
It was a great moment. I personally enjoyed it. Like I said, I needed that laugh. It was good to see John Wall with a good classic. Appreciate you, bro. And again, that's pretty much the only funny or good thing that we got on the list. We can jump straight into the foolishness. Both Ice Cube and 50 Cent out here making themselves look like plum D fools. 50 Cent, I mean, shit, I ain't surprised by it.
Right.
You know, that's Curtis Jackson for you. But he officially announced that he is endorsing President Donald Trump for president because he doesn't believe as a wealthy person he should have to pay high taxes. So,
but I guess my issue that I have with it is that you make more than the average person. And let's just be honest. I do think that there's a way for you to be a millionaire, even a multimillionaire, without getting over on people. But that when it comes to that exuberant amount of money, you stepped on some people. And we know damn well 50 Cent has stepped on some people to get where he is. I'm like, so when you think about, Jeff Bezos, all them people, bro, you literally stepped on people, still stepping on people to get where you are. You're taking resources from poor countries and all of this stuff. So I'm like, what's wrong with you paying your part? What do you think you're supposed to pay? Because a lot of y'all think y'all supposed to pay zero. Whereas you have people that are making way less than you are, paying more money than you are. So what do you think you're supposed to pay? Do you think your charity donation, when you feel like it should be enough to cover? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know.
Girl, listen, it boggles my mind because I think to myself, I make way less than that, and I pay a good grip to the goddamn IRS. Okay, they take a good grip, good chunk of money from me in the thousands range,
Right.
from me every goddamn year, and I don't make damn near anywhere near what 50 Cent is out here making. So he can kiss my ass if he expects me to feel away. Because
and I'm like,
you finna get taxed higher. Fuck y'all.
last year was the first year, I think, in like 8 or 9 years, I got a refund, and it was $600. And we got a refund because I was married. If we weren't married, give me my money. IRS, run me my coins. And just to think about it, like the average person, we don't get any type of reprieve or anything like that. And they come after average people about their money every year. Where you got people that are like multi-million, hundreds of millions of dollars that they have, and they just go and be like, oh, I did this loophole.
Right.
That ain't really a fucking loophole. Just say you got over, like, I don't know. That, like, but I didn't expect anything big from 50. And like we've always said, that most of the celebrities that we, listen to, they vote by their tax bracket.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't expect anything different from them. It's like, shit, I don't want to pay fucking taxes. I don't want to pay taxes as an average American. So I'm like, but it's something that has to be done. And listen, the people that took up for Ice Cube, I'm like, I get it.
Oh, but what gets me about it though is the fact that literally, we sit and we see people bitch and complain about Trump releasing his tax returns only for him to release them, and he only paid like $700, and we see people pitching the goddamn fit. Y'all going ham, y'all going crazy. We see y'all call Jeff Bezos everything from the devil to this and that because of which, by the way, he do be getting over. He do treat people like dirt. The people at Amazon do not get paid nearly enough for what they do, and the fact that Amazon every year plays $0 in fucking taxes is absolutely atrocious and ridiculous. But again, we see y'all throwing stones at him, but 50 Cent bitches and complains about how he don't want to pay 62% tax or whatever the fuck the tax is that will be for, the people who make over however much amount that they put up for in those couple of states or whatever like that. And I literally see people who ain't even close to that tax bracket and they're caping for him, talking about, yeah, he right. That's why we got to vote for Trump. Who's we? Nigga, that doesn't even apply to you. Like, I don't even understand y'all process of thinking at all.
That's what I'm saying. Be like, so where you are now, you're gonna be having most of that responsibility. So I'm trying to figure out, they're 1%. So it's like, I don't get it. Like you say, it's like, and I really think it's people mentality of, okay, one day I'm gonna get there, so I'm gonna vote. Like, one day I'm gonna get there and be like, you ain't gonna never make it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
right. But
chill out.
But the thing that really fathoms my mind is like you said, they're the 1%ers. If they not and my thing is, we know the IRS gonna get their money. So if they not getting it from them, who the fuck y'all think they gonna get it from?
Right. Our asses.
You know what I mean? Like, vote in the interest of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, why y'all out here voting for or going off of what these celebrity people said? Like I told y'all asses last week, they kids don't go to the same schools as ours. They don't live in the same neighborhoods as us. You know what I mean? They are not invested in the same interest as us. So why would you vote based on them?
And there's so many loopholes for them. So when you think about, oh, they paying 62%, they probably that year made $10 million and only paying 62% on $2 million. That's $8 million. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, just hypothetical numbers, not saying that that's actually what it is, but they're not paying 62% on every penny that they made because of tax loopholes and write-offs and all of this bullshit that they take advantage of, that we don't even get the opportunity to take advantage of. Because what I think, one year when I filed taxes, they were like, you can only do one or the other. And I can't remember what deduction I was trying to get. But just to think that we have to, even when it comes down to like your school deduction, okay, well, either you can apply this credit or this one, but you can't do both.
Right.
Whereas they got loopholes where they applying for this credit, it's the same damn thing, but they apply for it twice. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, y'all keep listening to 50 Cent dumb ass.
Exactly. Exactly. Y'all keep listening to these dumb folks. And speaking of that, let's jump into Ice Cube. I was confused by the whole thing. Essentially, someone from the Trump campaign tweeted out that Ice Cube helped them with the plan, which basically the way the Trump campaign painted it was as if he, was endorsing President Trump. It's the way that they continue to paint it. He then goes on to say that no, that is not the case. He didn't endorse any candidate, but that he proposed a plan. He supposedly took it to both campaigns, and that Trump was the only one who was willing to communicate with him, which we now find out that from the Biden campaign, the black woman, I cannot remember her name, who's basically like the senior coordinator for his heart plan.
Shit.
You got her name?
I felt like, hold on, I'm finna get it. I know it's not Rachel. I don't know why I feel like it's Rachel, but I don't think it's Rachel.
I can't remember either.
Simone.
I could see her face right now too, but I can't remember.
It's Simone, but let me get her.
There it is, Simone. That's it.
I don't know her last name.
But Simone is definitely correct.
Yeah, Simone Sanders. Yeah.
Okay. So Simone Sanders, she basically showed that she not only acknowledged and reached out to him about it, but wanted to kind of see, and that was way back, and she said it was back when he first started talking about the plan, because, as we all know, because people, when it comes to these elections, they like to throw out facts, but they don't like to actually pay attention. Back when the whole Biden announced he was running and there was all these questions about him, the crime bill, what he was going to do for Black America, when Diddy and all of them was up there talking about holding votes hostage and whoopity-whoopity-woo, he released his plan for Black America and the bullet points then. And when people were saying it wasn't enough, that's when Ice Cube was talking about this platinum plan that he supposedly put together. And Simone reached out to him and was like, okay, well, what you got? You know what I mean? And apparently, I guess maybe there was no connect. He didn't reach back. I don't know. But whatever it is, the stories ain't making sense. All we know is that the Trump campaign does what the Trump campaign does with all Black people, is as soon as they catch fire that a Black person is endorsing them, voting for him, whatever, they posted their picture all over social media and on Fox News to say, hey, look at this. This Black person supports me. You should too.
Right.
But anywho,
go ahead. That's why I was like, I know people were like, Ice Cube ain't a fool and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he technically got played for a fucking fool, because it'd be different if the Trump administration showed that in the past they were willing to work with the African American community or people of color, Black people. It'll be different if they showed that. He has not in 4 years showed that he's willing to do any work with our community. None. So I'm like, the only work that he has called for is quote unquote law and order, and we know what the fuck that means. Additional policing, military force, standby, all that bullshit. So we know what that means. I'm like, he has not shown. I'm like, that's just like Ice Cube is another Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey, I was meeting with him for, housing development and all that. And then he go and nominate Ben Carson as the Secretary of Housing that has absolutely no business being over housing. None.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, he has not shown that he's going to work with the African American community. So what are you meeting with him for, or meeting with his administration? He hasn't shown it, and he always, just like what his son got on there and done, is they photoshopped the image with Trump 2020 on you and 50 Cent head. With you and 50 Cent, because y'all played y'allself, and he literally played in y'all fucking face. Yeah. Of course, he gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a meet with him, or I'm listening to your platinum plan," and then you give it to him. He gets a black staffer to write and be like, "Oh, 50 Cent, or not 50 Cent, Ice Cube, this and this and that." So now you on the assumption, oh, he met with him and this is gonna happen. Ain't shit gonna happen. Hypothetically, if Trump win come November, nothing's gonna happen. Right. And when did we get all of this? I guess all this hope now for a white person or a white president doing anything for black people because Ice Cube met with him.
Listen.
Somehow now it's supposed to be different.
Right. And did you happen by any chance to actually look at Ice Cube's plan?
I didn't.
Well, I will say that I checked it out, and I'm trying to understand what's so, like, I don't know, different about it, or what's so, like, you know what I mean, like revolutionary about it, that you feel like that's the reason that I should place my vote with somebody who's a known white supremacist who supports white supremacy. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta make shit make sense to me.
Listen, I didn't even look at it because it's not that I didn't want to. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't take it serious. I don't, because I'm like, it kind of went out the door to me when it's like, oh, I met with, the Trump administration to go over this. And I'm like, it's so close to the election. And even when, he was like, well, the Democrats didn't want to meet with me. Or they was like, after the election. It's true. After the election, what are we supposed to do now before the election?
Right.
Like, I'm just, like, being flat out honest and being, like, open to different thoughts where people like, well, they say after the election. We very close to election. It's in 3 weeks.
Facts.
And I'm like, technically, the last vote for anything should have been in September.
Yeah.
The only thing that they're voting on now is the stimulus and trying to get this judge through the door. I'm like, those are basically emergencies. But technically, they shouldn't be voting for anything right now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And those, the things that they are voting on should also play a factor into, helping you decide where you want to lean your vote. The fact that they're rushing through this judge process just to get a judge in, the fact that, we're seeing the hold up with the stimulus and them holding that stimulus package until after, quote unquote, the election, but yet you can't hold and wait for a judge to put the judge in until, quote unquote, after the election. You know what I mean? Like, those different type of things should be what you are fundamentally looking at when you decide to make your decision to cast your vote, not what some celebrity says or what some celebrity does or who they endorse.
Definitely.
So moving on from that, kind of staying in the politics range, but not American politics, currently are seeing over in Nigeria. I think that if you've been on social media, you've probably seen a couple of the hashtags for ENDSARS. Basically, it's similar to, what's going on here in the United States. Black people are experiencing police brutality at the hands of the government and police within Nigeria. It's right now, it's looking almost just like seeing some of the images. The obviously the Nigerian people are attempting to peacefully protest, but we're seeing with the Nigerian government, they're cutting cameras. I'm hearing some horrendous reports from, protesters being shot in the street, attacked in the streets by, the government and, by obviously the police force. So, all you can say is prayers to Nigeria and, and support the cause,
Yeah. That's the same thing. And I even saw like they wanted letting emergency vehicles through to even, get people help. So I don't know. It's I don't know. Well, it feels like a global thing that we're actually seeing now with the coronavirus, that like how inadequate and how the government is really treating people. And not saying that we didn't see it before, but I think now it's like we are literally sitting down and watching like we have literally no help. We're out here doing this shit on our own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, you're dealing with like police brutality, state sanctioned, murders. So yeah, I've seen like a lot of, and I will say, of course, if you want to donate to the cause, always try to look for people with their feet on the ground. I don't like giving to big organizations because all the money does not make it, and even like less than half makes it to the actual people that it's intended for. I follow like some really good people, Jackiana, celebrities like Jaden, Yvonne, I don't know how to say her last name, but she plays Molly on Insecure. All those people are really tuned in. Of course, they are Nigerian. You have Burna Boy, that have a lot of resources of how you can donate, where you can donate. And you see a lot of images on their page that's just like horrendous. Like you said, like it's heartbreaking. And we dealing with our own thing here in America, but definitely I feel for our people in Nigeria as well. And it's not just Nigeria. You just see that it's an outcry there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like you said, if you are going to donate, you want to help and get involved, make sure you do your research and, before you donate, so that you can make sure that the money that you do give is going to the actual people of Nigeria. So I just saw this. This is actually a topic I didn't bring up before, but I just saw this come across. One of the jurors from the Breonna Taylor case has spoken. It's the first statement that's made by one of the jurors. It's an anonymous statement. In the statement, it does read that the juror says that they were not presented any evidence or anything other than the three wanton charges that were that they agreed to indict on against the officer Hankerson, I believe. The juror also goes on to say that they asked questions, but the prosecutor Daniel Cameron stated that he did not feel that they would be able to get any other type of charges, so he was not presenting any other type of charges to them. The juror says they were never explained to anything about self-defense, about murder, about any, none of those things that we have heard in other pre-trials, other different cases, even different cases that we've seen play out in the media. None of that evidence, information, any of that was given to the jury to make an adequate decision in the ruling in that case. So just all around disgusting.
Yeah, and I can definitely believe it because I think from what they were putting out, this was his first, or would have been like his first, like high profile case. And he has never had a case like this. He went literally, you can basically say like he jumped the ranks. He went from like almost, I don't want to say a paralegal because I don't want to, like dumb down his position like that. But he went from like research and then boom, because they were saying that like his wife is related to Mitch McConnell.
Yep.
So
that is correct. Mitch McConnell is his mentor.
Yeah. So he kind of like jumped the ranks. And then of course you have this case. And yeah. And I don't know, I feel for her family because I remember they were saying like the meeting that, it came out very good and they were optimistic. And then you get reports come out that, damn, the officer that was charged wasn't even charged for killing my daughter. He was charged for the people next door. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect nothing less from him.
Right.
With that hairline bumps.
And it just has to be heartbreaking because as this goes on and on and on, we're seeing more and more shit just come out, like from the fact that they claim that there was no body cameras to now we're getting footage from after the fact with body cameras, which by the way, I appreciate so much to the different media outlets or different people who actually put on their page graphic, please do not view and stuff, because we got to stop normalizing watching Black people being killed. Like we've got to stop normalizing that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to live that trauma. Like, that's trauma, man. I don't want to see it. I don't want to live it. So I just appreciate the ones who are responsible with it and don't just flat out post the video. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's I have not. I think Philando Castile was the last one that I watched, and that was on accident because of what basically happened. I think Facebook had just started the thing where the video automatically played.
Right.
And I was like, what the heck is this? And then, of course, I'm like, fuck. You know what I'm saying? Before it even got to the point, and I was like, you know what, just let me keep going. But I had already got to the part of just seeing him being killed, and I was like, that just stayed with me.
Right.
For like weeks.
Because it's trauma. You know, it's something that we should not normalize. It's something that we should not have to see. I even, like, it even broke my heart to kind of read some of, like, the transcripts back where they were saying that the officer was saying, you know, oh, you know, just walking over her body, like shit like that. Like, that shit fucked with me. And I didn't even watch the video. So I can't even imagine, like, the people who had to watch that and, like, the feelings that they had to feel. And then on top of that, thinking about her family and the feelings that they had to feel to know that y'all literally just watched her, you know, watch her bleed out and die.
Yeah.
And walked over her lifeless body like she was nothing. Like, disgusting.
And you didn't give her any help. Like, you had an opportunity to at least give her help where I think it probably would have been life-saving. And you didn't even do that.
Yeah. Just all around sad and just, I don't know. I hope that, and I guess I shouldn't get my hopes up, but I do hope that there is some type of, at least a special prosecutor or something that comes of all of this, because her family deserves better.
Yeah.
You know?
I wonder if they could, I don't know, could it be passed on to somebody else? I don't know if that would even be possible because they technically haven't been tried. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm assuming it can, because I actually saw recently where they said that special prosecutor has been brought in and they're reopening the case for Oscar Grant.
Okay.
So I feel like if they could do that, because in the officer who was involved in that actually was prosecuted and I think even served, was it 2 to 3 years, if that long? I don't know, a couple of months maybe, on manslaughter charges. So I feel like if they can go back and revisit and open that, then in this case where there wasn't even a jury trial, I'm assuming a true jury trial, I'm assuming that they could, if a special prosecutor is brought in, drum up actual charges and decide to take it to trial and prosecute. So, who knows? It's still kind of a wait and see with that situation. You want to talk about, because we seen some, well, you saw one episode of Red Table and I saw another episode of Red Table. So let's start with the one with Willow Smith where she was talking about her and her brother.
Yeah, I saw a portion of it where she was saying that her and Jaden felt like they were shunned by the Black community because they were different. The thing that I have, I guess, with this whole being shunned by the Black community because I'm different is because I guess I would have to see them in that environment to see what happened. Because a lot of times we see children, like when I think about growing up and you saw those children, they had like a complex of I'm almost better than you. So I don't know. I can't, like, I like them now, but also, like I said, I would just have to see them in their element. It's like, okay, you have, and I think we have to get past that, oh, I was shunned or put out, because you have, I guess, like in the Black community, you have jokes. And people, take whatever and make fun of it or whatever. Like, my chin is long. So I got the whole, J-Lo chin, and, oh, you quiet and blah, like, so things like that. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I can feel it, but I'm like, I also know Black people that are quiet, that are, have different type of hair, piercings or whatever, that fit in. And they just, listen, I'm Black and that's it.
Right.
And you have other Black people that have different color hair, and then it's like, I'm the only Black friend and I'm better than you, other Negroes. So, and then that's how you are treated by Black people. It's like, okay, well, you're going to be better than us. Then you be over there and be better with us by yourself.
Yeah. I think with this instance, I can see the different viewpoints and the different sides of it. So I feel like Willow, I don't feel like they were ever shunned. Let's go there. I don't think they've ever been shunned. I think that if we're being completely honest, I feel like they, because they are celebrity kids, they kind of treat celebrity Black kids great, whereas, maybe we don't treat regular Black kids great. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But anyways, I don't think they ever were like shunned. That's one thing. I do think that Willow holds a point, because I think that in the Black community, anytime you're a little different, you get, what I'm saying? People look at you strange. Like, I've been the nerdy girl, the quiet girl. You see how people clown Michael B. Jordan because he admitted he liked anime. Like, so, the different people who, I told you I was afraid to tell people that my guilty pleasure song was Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. So, like, I mean, you get those different experiences. So I can get where she's coming from, where definitely sometimes when you are different from what the quote unquote stereotype, which is sad, when you are different from the quote unquote stereotypes of what people perceive to be Black, then yeah, you can feel different, I guess. But I don't feel like, shunned is the appropriate word, because like you said, there are jokes, we do have a good time. So I don't think it's ever shunned, but you definitely do feel a little different. You definitely feel like you stick out a little bit, or you feel a little awkward. But I don't think shunned is appropriate. I do think with Jaden, on the other hand, I think that has more to do with, and again, it's something that the Black community runs from. It's the homophobia that runs rampant in Black culture and in the Black community, period. Because Jaden, wore skirts or dresses because he has said, he said things like, Tyler, the creator, is my boyfriend, and things of that nature. I think that that's why people treated him different, or people looked at him different. And that is a deeper conversation, in my opinion. That goes beyond being shunned or being different or being a little awkward, however you want to put it. That goes, like I said, goes to speak on the homophobia that runs rampant within our community, that for whatever reason we continue to kind of push to the sidelines and refuse to address.
That I agree with. Yeah, I would definitely say, like, yeah, I appreciate, like, your perspective about them, just the celebrity kids being treated different. So if you're treated different and people notice that you're being treated different,
right,
that makes a difference in how you're treated, unfortunately. But kids notice that difference as well. Like, and it's probably not like a small difference; it's a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
of how the room moves when you're in it, and then you have other children that are like, okay, this doesn't happen for me. And like you say, even with the Jaden thing, it's just, well, not just because I don't want to make light of it, is that a lot of it is homophobia, and it's like, oh, and he hasn't really, I don't know what our fascination is, and I'm not going to say that it's just Black people, it's in general, where people are fixated, well, is he gay or is he not gay? Well, what does it matter to you?
Exactly. Ooh, that is a question that ponders in my head all the time whenever the subject of people's sexuality comes up. I never, as a person, I never spend my time worried about anybody else's bedroom and what they do in it and who they choose to love and spend time with. That's not a fixation that I have. So why do so many of y'all give a fuck? Like, it boggles my mind.
Yeah, that sounds like, because I noticed like a lot of people like, so is he gay? Is he not gay? But I'm like, doesn't matter. Because even if he gay, straight, or whatever, you don't have a chance with him 9 times out of 10. So what are you concerned about?
Exactly, child. Look, I don't. You preaching to the choir because I don't get it. I don't understand.
I'm like, so if you're a straight man, like, why should it matter to you? Because you don't want him either way, right? Or am I missing something?
Listen. The questions we have. Sticking to the Red Table Talk. So I actually just seen some clips from the one upcoming, I don't know if it's the upcoming one or if it just played, with Amber Rose, where they were talking about consent, and they asked for her personal story in dealing with consent. And in it, she talked about how she was in a relationship for 2 years and how she wanted to end the relationship. She told her partner she wanted the relationship, she wanted to end the relationship, and her partner then went on to basically force her into sleeping with him. I just thought it was something that, in my opinion, is really impactful and something that needs to be talked about and brought up more, because a lot of times when it comes to consent, it's almost like a dirty little secret that people don't like to talk about, because they think that because you're in a relationship that consent is, is automatically like applied. You know what I mean? Like, because that's my spouse or the person that I'm in love with or whatever, that just automatically means that sex is a given. Like, you don't have to ask my permission for it. And so I think that it's an important topic and something that needs to be discussed more, because regardless of whether we're in a relationship or not, consent still fucking applies.
And that's what, like, I feel like in relationships, people feel like they have a blank check or something, where it's like, okay, if I want it, I should always be able to, have access to it. And I did see like a preview of it. So again, like you said, I don't know if it's already been aired or it's coming up. I did see a preview, and she was saying, even in her interview, she was saying, I've had consensual sex with this person many times before. And it's just like that one time that fucks with you. It's like, bro, why would you do that? And then the way that, anyway, it's wrong. But she was saying like he just, tore her clothes off. And it's like, how effed up is that?
Exactly. And this was a person that you spent 2 years of your life with, who you were supposed to be in love with.
Definitely. So that was really, I don't know. It was just seeing that preview. I'm like, ugh.
Right.
Just hate it.
Yeah. But again, it's something that I feel like we got to normalize, and we got to start having conversations around and about, because from what we are learning, here in 2020, is that a lot of people really, which is sad, but a lot of people really don't understand the concept of consent. And that's just the honest to God truth. Like, some of the comments and things that I read from people, some of the ideals that a lot of people have, a lot of y'all really don't fucking understand the concept of consent at all. And it's a conversation that I think that as parents, as adults, as just human beings, we got to start having way, way, way more clearly.
Definitely. And I think that's a lot of where victims have this guilt because it's like, well, I did go over there late, and like, so you could have went over there at 2:30 in the morning. Did you say yes? You have that still right to be like, hey, I don't want this.
Exactly.
Marriage, you still have the right to be like, no.
Absolutely. So yeah, I definitely again, I don't know, I didn't see the whole episode, and like you said, I don't know if it was a preview or not. I just saw the little clip or whatnot. But if it is a full well, I know it's going to be a full episode. If it is out, I'm definitely going to probably check it out. I might come back with some more from that episode for you guys. So just be looking forward to that on upcoming shows. Moving on from that, so I saw an interview with Taraji P Henson. She was on the Breakfast Club, and she confirmed that her relationship with her fiance is over, that they decided to end the engagement. But the part that I found the most interesting was her talk about how past traumas kind of played an impact in deciding to end the relationship. And it was something that I wanted to bring up again because I feel like it is, again, another one of those stigmas or conversations that, like, when we do relationship talks and marriage talks and things of that nature, it's a lot of things that are, I guess, taboo that people just don't discuss. And past trauma is one of them.
That part I do agree with. And I think a lot of times it's because we feel like, that's why I hate that phrase, I turned out fine. Because
right.
Most of the time you didn't turn out fine, and you don't know until you get to a point where you do maybe sabotage a relationship that, could have been better had you did some of that internal work without saying, I turned out fine, or I'm okay. And like I say, you're really not okay. You have anger issues. Sometimes we trauma bond because we share the same trauma with another person, and then it's a whole toxic thing at that point. So I can see it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But definitely, like I said, it's just definitely something that I saw interesting to kind of see on there. And I think that that's something that I think we can probably save it for like another show to bring up in the relationships where we talk about, where you mentioned trauma bonds, because that is something that I do see a lot of frequently, people who bond over trauma and attempt to build relationships on that. I feel like that's a slippery slope, man. But anywho, jumping right from that, I also see here that now this one is kind of interesting. So I saw that, you remember it was a while back where we were talking about that billionaire who said that he was going to pay the student loans off for all of the grads at Morehouse. Well, unfortunately, it has come out that same gentleman has now admitted to tax fraud. So the question obviously on everybody's mind is, will those student loans still be getting paid? I would think not, but I could be wrong. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely $140 million. No, I just want to Google. I just want to Google him. Yeah, no. I don't see it happening, and especially if it's not going to help with the tax bill. So but hopefully for their sake, I don't know. I want them to still be able for it to still happen, but I don't know.
It ain't looking too good. Too good.
But he's a billionaire, so hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah. Look, it's a whole mess all the way around. Is there anything else? Because I'm looking at our list. I don't see anything else. I feel like I might have missed something, though. I feel like there's a topic I missed. Did I miss anything?
Nope, I think we
got everything.
Everything.
All right. So let us then, if we have finished with our hot topics, let us go ahead and jump into the relationship portion of the show. So my question this week is less of relationship and more of a lifestyle question. And it's actually something that I saw posed on one of the readings I was doing on one of the little websites I was on. And it says that in recent years, we've seen that the celebrity snapback photo has become kind of the popular thing or something that occurs. Like literally, you see a celebrity who announces they gave birth yesterday, and then like the next day they pop up with their quote unquote snapback photo. So the question that was posed is, do you think that places abnormal kind of pressures on, regular everyday women to kind of snap back quickly?
I can see it being that way because you're like, I'm a mom, she's a mom. If she get back right, then I should be able to do the same thing. And I don't think we take into account that like this person has a nutritionist, a trainer, a cook, whereas average everyday moms are kind of doing it themselves.
Right.
And you have way more responsibilities as well because even when it comes down to just a luxury of having a person that does your laundry, clean your house, where you can kind of focus on yourself more. Average women don't have that. Having a night nurse makes a difference that you're able to rest because, of course, rest plays into weight loss and making sure that you're good mentally and physically and all of those things. I can definitely see the pressure. Me personally, I didn't feel any pressure as far as I'm lying. I did because I'm like, okay, I've seen people saying that, they've lost, this amount of weight when they left the hospital, but it wasn't so much as from celebrities. It was like just other moms as well. Like, oh, when I left the hospital, I had already dropped 10 pounds.
Oh,
and I'm like,
okay.
I left the hospital. I was the same weight before I went into the hospital. I'm like, yo, I'd have had a whole baby. He was almost 8 pounds, all the liquid that they say you're supposed to lose. And this was it weighs 5 pounds. So I'm like, why am I not 13 pounds lighter?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I definitely understand that pressure. And then like I said, you get on, Instagram and you like, how the fuck she get abs? And I was sitting over here like, how long does it? I didn't realize Google. Like, how long does it take your uterus to shrink? Because I'm like, something's still wrong with my stomach. I'm like, I definitely understand it now. Because at first I'm like, why would people feel pressure to get back down to the size? Like, you just had a whole human, and I guess I can say more empathetic when I did have kids because it's like, okay, now that I have, I'm like, why my body not doing what, I ain't have abs at first, but yeah, my stomach didn't look like this either. So I saw a picture of, is it a Nico Hard?
Mm-hmm.
She was like, well, if you put in the work, and I'm like, yeah, no, sweetheart. Because some people, like, man, my stomach is still not flat from having a child.
Right.
Like, it's not big, but it's not flat like it was at first. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah. I would say, as a non-mom, I will say that I gotta give it up to moms because I don't know how, if I could like mentally like deal with all of kind of that aspects of going into like I just gave birth to a whole human being. I have, I'm in, a relationship, so I have my partner that I also have to deal with those type of emotions and all of that. I have to deal with my own mental emotions and ideas about my body and how I'm feeling. Like, and then to consistently have to go and see these other moms. And you're right, with celebrities, they do have nutritionists and they have a lot of extras that the regular of us do not have at our kind of bending wheel when it comes to that whole process. So, but then to kind of see that and be like, well, shit, you like you said, like she just gave birth 2 days ago and her stomach already flat. Like did she do that? Like, you know what I mean? So like I give it up to moms, to the moms of today, because that's a lot. That's a lot of pressure to kind of have on you, but also just even from society, because I've literally seen other folks, like I've seen men and other women and people like comment on it when women are saying, just how about we normalize, not snapping back or, taking the time to get to know your baby, and people like literally attacking them, calling them lazy. Like we saw with Tia Mowry, right? Where she actually took the time. She said it took her almost 18 months to fully drop all of her pre-baby weight, and people were calling her everything from lazy, shaming her. Like, so I mean, I give moms all the credit in the world, because it's a lot, man. It is absolute lot. And I ain't gonna front. If I was to be babying it out, I would totally feel that pressure. And I probably would be like the worst pregnant person ever. Like I would probably be like not seeing it out on nutrition, trying not to gain whatever more weight than would the doctor says is healthy to gain. Like I would be so self-conscious, because I'm already like, with my weight fluctuations, that already aggravates and irritates me and triggers me. Like I just couldn't even imagine like just the excess of it all. So salute to the moms out there, man.
I still stepped on the scale every day while I was pregnant. I know that sounds like, what the fuck were you doing? But I'm like, okay, so I should only be gaining 11 pounds during this whole pregnancy. And then at the end, I think I jumped like 15 pounds. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm telling the doctor, I'm like, I gained this amount of weight. She was like, it's fine. You're at the end. It's mostly water. And I'm like, but, it's not supposed to happen like this. And I think even after you had a baby, your body is different. Like I'm down minus 10 extra pounds from my pre-pregnancy weight, and I'm still like, this don't look like it's supposed to look. So
right.
Like I get where Tia comes from. And I don't know if you remember when Iman Schumer, whatever, he gave a shout out to Breonna Taylor about, I checked her body 3 times and it was no stretch marks. And people were like, well, that's just him glorifying his wife. And I'm like, it was cringeworthy to me. Because I'm like, what if she did have a stretch mark? Like, I don't know. Why is it glorified that she don't have a stretch mark after having 2 babies?
Right.
And I'm like, it comes down to genetics as well.
Right. I ain't gonna lie, because I felt that. I was like, shit. She had 2 babies and no stretch mark, bitch. I ain't had none, and I got stretch marks galore. So I felt that in my chest. Like, damn, Iman, that hurt me.
I'm like, she just has good genetics, and I'm not gonna say good genetics. It's just genetics. She's not predisposed to that. So
yeah,
there are other women that are in good shape that took care of their bodies during pregnancy, and it, that it just happened. So
yeah. And it took them a little longer. We saw with Cassie, she and both her husband talked about how it took her a lot, longer for her body to quote unquote snap back after she had her baby. I think she said it took her a couple of months to even, be able to drop down the pounds and to kind of be comfortable with her tummy again. So yeah, like you said, sometimes genetics plays a factor in it as well. So what about your question for today?
So my question is, what would turn you off more in a relationship? A partner who gossips or complains?
I'm going to say a partner who complains, because gossip, like, I could deal with, because high key, I ain't gonna lie, like, I think that that's probably one of the funs of being in a relationship, having somebody to be like, Now listen, you ain't even gonna believe the shit that just happened. So I mean, like, I feel like y'all would probably get caught up with gossiping together and just laughing amongst yourself at shit that's just crazy, because that's what you're supposed to do with your partner in life. But somebody who complain all the goddamn time, I feel like that would be exhausting. You know? So I would definitely say I would be more turned off by a partner who complains all the time. What about you?
I'm the same. Like the gossip, I live for the gossip. Be like, when my husband come to the house, he be like, "Let me tell you what went on at the yard," which is just Jamaica term for house. Be like, "What happened? Come and tell me." Like, I know people's story that I ain't never even seen their face before. Like when I get there, and he be like, "Oh, this blah blah blah." I be like, "Oh, so you that person in my head." So it's like I live for tea. Like I don't care. That makes for good conversation. The complaining shit, that be like, I don't want to hear it. Like you ruining my vibe right now. So I
Basically.
definitely, yeah, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like I said, I fully agree with you. I would just be so exhausted by someone who complains all the fucking time. That would irritate the mess out of me. They would get put out real quick. I ain't gonna lie. All right, so that is all that we have for relationships this week. Let's go ahead and jump into any like new music, books, TV, anything like that.
I did listen to Trey Songz's album. I don't know if it's because I'm just not into Trey like I once was. Like it was okay. Like I'm not even gonna say okay because some of the songs I like zoned out on. And you know how like sometimes you zone out on a song, be like, damn, I missed the whole song. Let me go back and listen to it again. I ain't catch myself wanting to do that. Yeah, I mean, and I didn't download it to my phone. So it was a few songs that I listened to. I was like, okay, that's cool. But it was typical Trey songs as well. Like his type of album, Sex, Love, and Pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the one song, and I think at the end or it's close to the end about the whole like what's happening now as far as current events. But other than that was yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay.
I'm not surprised, because if I can be completely transparent and honest, like I used to love Trey songs. Like Ready was like one of my favorite records, but and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that all of like the stuff surrounding Trey songs and his like situations dealing with women, his situation with Kiki Palmer, all of that has in general just soured me on him a little bit. So like I think every time I went to even try to listen to that album, I just was like, do I want to listen to this? Nah, let me go ahead and listen to something else. So that's where I'm at with Trey songs right now.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what was it because I'm like, I mean, I used to like you. Like I used to play your CDs like over and over and over again, and now it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just listened to it, but I didn't download it. I ain't adding none to like my favorites playlist. Nothing. Like I literally just listen.
Yeah, I definitely think that unfortunately with artists, sometimes I think that their personalities and shit can really just fuck up the mood. Like it can really turn you off to even their music, even if it's not that their music is different. It's just that I'm just turned off to you as a person, so I don't want to hear anything that you do. Mm.
Yeah.
What else?
That was it for me. I of course haven't read anything. And for shows, I just been watching House Hunters International, being jealous. That's all.
Okay. So for me, I haven't listened to any new music yet, but I did just see that they said Ty Dolla $ign is dropping on Friday, his new album. So I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna give it a chance. Hopefully Ty doesn't disappoint and let me down, because we know how Ty Dolla $ign works. A Ty Dolla $ign feature would be fire, but whenever he go to do his own records, it'd be like, eh. So we shall see. But also, rumor is that Drake is scheduled to preparing his drop for Certified Lover Boy for this coming Friday on his birthday or the day before his birthday, whatever. I think Friday is the 23rd. So yeah, the day before his birthday. But so that obviously if that drops, then I'll probably check it out and review it next week. TV wise, I haven't really anything else. I've just been, Netflixing it up. One on one and half and half dropped on Netflix. So I binged. I finished one on one. I finally finished the Parkers. I told you that last week. I finished the Parkers. I finished one on one already. I'm in the last couple of episodes of half and half. So then I'm just gonna go back to finish up the game and Girlfriends, and then I guess my little black shows of the '90s will be complete. Makes me sad, but boy, was it good to kind of rewatch those. It makes you really remember that we used to have some good ass TV back then.
Oh, and we took it for granted. Like, oh, I wish that Netflix would pick up Eve though.
Ooh, listen, because I fucked with Eve too. That was a good show.
I'm like, why your ass couldn't been on time for work so we could have had like more seasons. I
Agreed.
love that fucking show, and it used to come on. I don't know like where you were, but I remember it used to come on like in the morning, sometime at like 5 a.m.
Yeah,
and I don't know why I used to be up, but I would stay up and literally watch this show and go back to sleep afterwards.
Yeah, it was dope. Eve was a good fucking show. She did like for when you think of like celebrity, I mean typical people who go from like music to doing something like TV. She held her own. Like it was a good fucking show. Like I enjoyed it from beginning to fucking end. Like I'm with you. I didn't want the show to end.
Definitely. I was like, oh, but if they picked it up, like, oh, I started half and half. I did forget to mention that I did start that. No, one on one, my bad.
Right.
So I was like, oh, this was good TV flicks.
It was. I only had to do the one thing about those shows is that they are shorter because they only have like a couple of seasons. Like with half and half, with half and half, they only have 4 seasons. So that's why I'm in the 4th season now. So I'm almost done with that. With one on one, I only watched the first 3 or 4 seasons? 4 seasons because after the final season, I didn't watch that shit. Because first of all, I don't want to see Ray J ass on nothing. And then, secondly, it was just a completely different show. Like, there was no flex, no, you know what I mean? It just wasn't the same dynamic. So, first 4 seasons, enjoyed. Last season, they could throw that one away. But other than that, good show. Anything else that you want to give to the people?
Nothing else for me.
All right, so just really quickly then, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the nerd moment of the week. So this week's nerd moment is just pretty much a bunch of kind of upcoming rumors and things that are kind of buzzing around Marvel and DC. We've been getting a lot of that lately since kind of TV is picking back up and people are starting to film again after the big COVID break or whatnot. So on the Marvel front, Marvel is kind of being pressed or pressured to release Black Widow to Disney Plus just so that they could have something that releases in 2020. Obviously, I think I stated on a couple of shows back, this will be the first year that Marvel hasn't dropped anything since like 2009. I will say, I feel like this is just like a high key rumor. I really think that Marvel is dead set on not releasing anything outside of the television shows that they've got upcoming with The Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision. I definitely think Black Widow will probably be super early in 2021, but I don't think we're getting anything movie-wise from the MCU before 2021. Also, speaking about movies in the MCU, Natalie Portman, she did confirm that in the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder movie that it will follow the comics and that we will see Jane's cancer story play out. So she will have cancer and kind of be going through cancer treatments. throughout that movie as well. Also on the rumor front, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are rumored to be being introduced to the MCU because as we all know, their shows on Netflix were canceled, and there's kind of talks or debates on whether the actors who played those characters will be recast or kind of where that they'll go, how they'll go from there. But the way that they're saying they will introduce the characters officially into the MCU is via a love triangle with Captain Marvel. Obviously, just in the comics, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage do get married, with Jessica Jones and Captain Marvel kind of having like a mutual love for each other, but ultimately she chooses Luke Cage. So, I mean, I guess we'll see. I feel like if it follows the comics, we shouldn't get too much outpour from the fans or complaints from the fans. But then again, you know how folks in kind of the comic realms are when it comes to people of color, when it comes to anything LBGTQ plus, they freak the fuck out and they act absolutely an ass and ridiculous. So we shall see kind of how that whole thing plays out if Marvel does decide to go that route as far as their introduction with those two characters. And then lastly, moving on to the DC front, it's similar kind of to what Marvel is going through, but Wonder Woman 1984, as we know, it's this the release has kind of been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. As of right now, it's been pushed back to December. I think Christmas. I want to say it's supposed to be December 25th of 2020, obviously. But they're saying that may too be up in the air with kind of all of the COVID reports that have been coming out and the spikes that have been we've been seeing and have been predicted. They don't even know. So they don't know if the date shall stand, if they'll push it back, kind of what the route will be. Obviously, I still believe that they will release it in movies just because, let's be honest, Wonder Woman is one of their biggest and most successful films. But whether it will still come out in December, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And that is it for me in the nerd moment of the week. I got nothing else. You got anything else?
No, nothing else for me.
All right. So per usual, thanks guys for listening. And as always, we hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Good night, guys.
Good night.